Good morning and welcome to Unit 2 of OD and Diagnostic Intervention. Today's focus will be on theories of plan change, Kurt Levin's model of plan change, and resistance to change. So, in this, organizational change refers to company business alters a major component of its organization, such as its culture and the underlying technology or infrastructure used to operate or its internal process. Now, it's a process of guiding organizational change also to a successful result and in three major phases: preparation, implementation, and follow through. In this theory of plan change, we would look at three briefly: Levin's three-step, Lippitt-Watson, and Podolsky and D. Clemens. Now, Lippitt and Watson basically extended Levin's three-step theory, but they do not put forth the evolution of the change. They focus on the role and responsibility of the change agent in the process. And for them, in the Lippitt-Watson and in their seventh step, the change agent played a very important part. So basically, it meant development of a need for change. Their steps were establishment of a relationship, working towards change, the clarification or diagnosis of client systems problems, examination of alternative route, transformation of intentions, and the generalization, stabilization of change, and achieving a terminal relation. Another of the plan changes, Prochaska and D. Clemens in 1980, they felt there are 5 stages of change. Pre-contemplation, which meant us, we are not ready to change. Then contemplation means we are thinking of changing. Then preparation, where you're ready to change. Action, where it was making change. And then maintenance, which is the most important. Once all this is done, staying on track. And relapse or fall from growth. This is an unofficial step. Normally there are 3 or 5 stages, but this is known as more of a. Now we come to Kurt Levin's change model theory. Kurt Lewin was a behavioral scientist, as we said. His force field theory states that restraining forces influence the behavior of both group and individual. It means this restraining forces of group and individuals decide the fate of change. So this driving force is driving people towards change, but the restraining forces highlight the potential resistance to change, acting as the primary. So this is actually the same. Now, Kurt Lewin suggests to balance these through effective change communication and employee involvement, and employee training to bridge the gap. So, like we spoke, how an OD practitioner steps into this and perform his role. So, hence, change agent must implement stress management techniques, compliance is met, and use convincing change reasons. So, there the OD practitioner plays a very important part, or the change consultant plays a very important part to ensure that this happens. Now, this model is looked in 3 ways: unfreeze, change, and refreeze. So, when we would look at the detail, is the first stage with this perception management and aims to prepare the people who are getting affected for the upcoming organization. Now, change leaders must look at effective ways to improve the company's preparedness and create a sense of urgency. Now, during this effective change communication, like we have discussed, effective change communication plays a vital role in getting the desired team member. The idea is that if you have a buy-in and support of the people, then the process can be relatively managed better. So when you come into the second stage of change, once the status quo or the unfreezing happens, this thing has been disrupted. Now this feels with the implementation change. Now one should look at an agile and iterative approach, has employee feedback included, so that buy-in and employee involvement and satisfaction and morale improvement is there for better change implementation. Now what happens beyond this is there's a continuous flow of information, so that there is transparency. Team members are understand that there is changes happening for the better and they participate, and constantly there may be workshops arranged to ensure that this happens well. And empowerment is a very critical part of this OD and the change part, because change, they have to effectively imbibe this to ensure that they, and for people, if they see easy wins initially, so their resolution and determination increases to participate. And so once, and the stage is also known as the transition stage, the second stage. Once you have reached a certain level, there's something known as refreeze. Now refreezing, employees move away from the transition phase towards stabilization or acceptance. Now this becomes a freezing stage, where the challenge rises if change leaders are not able to strengthen the change by reinforcing it into organizational culture, and there's always the danger that employees may revert to previous behavior. So this is where the challenge remains, that people should not be allowed to go back to their earlier behavior, and they should preserving the change, and what they have made a change, they should implement it and not revert to the previous behaviors. Now, how do we do this? When some people show some spark, identify, reward early adopters, collect employee feedback regularly, and constant employee training and support is very critical to ensure that there is a solid buy-in from them. Now, if you look at how it can be applied in a workforce, if there's an existing skill set, it allows employees to take over more responsibilities. Hence, it is important to empower and regularly train employees on this. Now, McDonald's, what do? They were incurred multi-million-dollar loss due to the inability to balance innovation against process efficiency. They fail to understand how extensive customization to its food preparation would impact its speed. So, if they go to understand this, if they get into customization and try and match every customer's expectation, but the speed of preparation and delivery delay. So, there is a mix and match which needs to be done to ensure that the process which happens is effective and smooth. Now, McKinsey suggested if there is a strong culture in an organization, shareholder returns can be in the range of 3x if a company's got a strong. So to reap the long-term benefits of any initiative, and the changes should be anchored in the organization culture. Basically, it means that we should link and drive it forward. For instance, HubSpot values culture and product equally. They have an extensive 128-page culture code to check. The idea is that there is an anchoring spot to ensure that people who are working there stay rooted to the culture. And they always take an employee first approach and invest heavily in employee development and upskilling. Another part when we come to is the resistance to change. Naturally, people are resistant to change. They can be overt or covert, where they are openly or they behind the scenes there. So they express their resistance. They may do unknowingly they resist. Individual resistance also when people resist change based on their unique perceptions, personalities, needs. So they may be worried that they may lose their jobs, habits, their comfort zone, economic factors, and all these have a massive influence on individual resistance. So this is the individual resistance. Now, organization entirely may want to resist change and maintain status quo. If an organization constantly resists, then they'll become inflexible and unable to adapt to environmental, and they may collapse. It's just a question of time. So the idea is that there's an organization, it could be their internal power struggles, poor decision making process, and bureaucratic organization. All this is leading to organized resistance. So, and if there's a general lack of trust, emotional response, fear of failure, all this unrealistic timelines, all are resistant to. From an individual point, there may be an active resistance, like we discussed, passive compliance, they may quietly accept, and enthusiastic support. So these, we should understand that there are different ways. People may stand up and say no, or they may slow down. Compliance, they will actively, or they will just follow, quietly accept. And enthusiast support is the best, where they step up, they're change agents, they are active ambassadors for. Now, sources of resistance for change organization, again we should understand that it will be over determination, narrow focus of change. If there's not a wide group inertia, biggest danger for an organization, people are refusing to work if they feel their expertise is being threatened. The power relations mean how the hierarchies, how the leaders interact, and how the hierarchy and the power structure remain. And resource allocation change. If there is one department which has been getting a lot of money and soon they are not going to be getting, so they may also feel very this. And an individual, it could be due to out of habit, insecurity, my job will be there, economic factors, one's background and what can hold for the future, and fear of the unknown, which is of course a big factor, and lack of awareness. That's where open communication, development, and constant feedback is important to make people aware. And social factors, one's background and one's interaction is very important. So all this needs to be managed by active and open communication. So in Morrow's 3 level of resistance model, they look at a person say, I don't get it, I don't understand the purpose of the change or how to change. So this with open communication and all can be greatly reduced. And I don't like it, emotional reactions, because any change, people are going after their comfort zones, they don't want to. I don't like it, I won't change. So this is also due to proper counseling and open social communication system corrected. And I don't like your lack of trust and confidence is basically if the change comes internally or it is being led in such a way where the power structures are being maintained. So this is where it can be challenged. So an outside consultant at times helps, but they should have the knowledge, but they may lack the context to understand what is happening in the organization. So to briefly summarize, these are some of the change models and the resistance to change which can happen at an organization and individual level, and how this can be mitigated for the betterment of the organization. Thank you.